Now, I was watching a video the other day with an interview with Rod Little, who's a journalist, not somebody I really have a lot of time for or listen to or read a lot. I think he writes in The Sun and the Sunday Times at times. He's also a Millwall fan as well, so that obviously counts against him. Anyway, he was having this interview, I think it was on Talk Radio, I might put a clip in, and he was saying that if this had happened in the 70s, how different would things have been?
Because we're incredibly mobile these days, we move everywhere. By the same token, 20, 30 years ago certainly, and 20 years ago as well, we wouldn't have had home working. You couldn't have run businesses without, and I suspect, and there's one thing I didn't mention in the piece, I suspect for two reasons, the government would never have agreed to a lockdown. Firstly, because the economy would simply have crashed, nothing would have been done. But secondly, I think that the way we've responded to the virus has been mediated by us lot, by the media. And there was nothing like the amount of 24-hour continual headline news of people dying, of misery porn in hospitals, of new variants of lethalities. It would have been something you maybe read about once a morning in your newspaper.
So, 76 was when I took my equivalent GCSEs, the O-levels, and I can't remember much about them, to be honest. I can't remember the year itself, because if you look on Google and things, 1976 I think is one of the hottest summers we've ever had on record. And I remember spending the holidays, the whole summer holidays basically, inside somebody's house rehearsing, because we were in a punk band. Punk was big at the time, a punk band, and we rehearsed all summer long. We just stuck ourselves away inside this house. Now, we went on to be, I think, a mod revival band and so on. Played with lots of bands over my life. Musically, it's worth having a look at. I was into all the glam rock stuff, the Sweet, Slade, T-Rex, prog rock. I got into early kind of Genesis stuff, Yes, a little bit, Pink Floyd and stuff like that, and early Queen when they came along as well. Now, out of all those bands and things, I reckon if you want to have a look at anybody, have a look at T-Rex. They're probably the one, probably stands up best still in terms of their music today. All the rest probably sound quite dated, but I think Mark Bolan and T-Rex, some of their stuff really is sounding quite good. So that's a window into my kind of music world in the 70s. Maybe I'll get some of my vinyl out and show you some of that. I think you really miss out these days on not being able to go out and buy vinyl. Well, I know you can buy vinyl. It's more expensive than downloading stuff these days and things as well. But the joy of going out and buying a record back in those days. Now, I do sound like an old bloke talking about his war years in some ways, don't I? I apologise. So trying to think what would happen to me if exams had been cancelled, but as Rod Little points out there, I think if it had been happening in the 70s, exams wouldn't have been cancelled. Travel, as he points out, wouldn't have been as wide scale. Perhaps we wouldn't have suffered quite as badly from that, as it were. Media, certainly no phones, no 24-hour media, probably 3 TV stations, BBC 1, 2 and ITV. Can't remember when Channel 4 came in. And so your access to hearing about it all would be quite limited. People couldn't work from home easily either. Anyway, enough of this reminiscing. Where are we at as far as you're concerned then? Well, I'm at the stage now where I'm having to send off the entries to the exam boards. So now that you've checked all your statements of entry and everything correct on those, I send them off to the exam board so that you will be officially entered for the exam and will therefore get a grade and get a certificate. So technically I have to go through each exam board, each level, and press enter. All these numbers here are all of you, and with all the exams that you're going to do. So I have to do that for each board. Now, final date for entries is the 21st of February, which is at the end of half term, and I hopefully, like you, are going to have a bit of a break and not hang around for half term, although they may be giving out some details about the future summer exams from the 15th. What did he say?
Have a great half term, everybody.